Hello, fans of the sweet and sometimes savage science. Welcome to Talkbox, your pound-for-pound podcast prime destination for all matters boxing. That's news, analysis, interviews, and so much more. It's 60 minutes, championship-grade material, taped at the Everlast Studio in the heart, New York City, hosted by me, Michael Woods. Folks, it's time. Strap on the headgear and the headphones. Let's get into it. It's time for Talkbox. Welcome, Talkbox Nation, to episode 4 of our Chat Fest, held at the Everlast Worldwide Studio in the heart of Manhattan, the capital of the world as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, episode 4. So, Senator Manny Pacquiao. You guys know that he won. He was a congressman. Now he's a senator in the Philippines. Word was that he's going to be too busy for boxing. You can't be a senator and also box. But rumors persist, and he is still one of the three biggest draws on the boxing planet, if you're assuming that Floyd Mayweather is not retired, as I am assuming. So I got a little tip. My friend Mr. X said, "Hey, Woods, I heard that Mandalay Bay is on hold for Top Rank for Manny Pacquiao versus TBD October 15th. Very interesting." So I poked around a little bit, and I messaged Michael Cons, who is Pacquiao's right-hand man. Said, "Can you tell me anything about that?" And I'm hearing Adrian Broner as a foe. And he responded, "Not yet." But not yet. Okay. So this morning on the train, en route from Brooklyn into the Everlast Studio in the middle of Manhattan, message a friend over at Top Rank, one of the spokespersons, and it said, "Can you respond to that rumor? Give me a confirm or deny." And I was told that Manny is not scheduled to fight, but Top Rank does have a hold on October 15th, Mandalay Bay, for what it's worth. And I'm also told that promoter Bob Arum has not spoken to Manny Pacquiao since he was sworn in as a senator. So, is that throwing cold water on the rumor? Or I think it's kind of leaving it open. And politics is the sort of thing where you want to have a malleable stance on your POV and your decision, shall we say. So could I see Manny intending, as he wants to get elected, to not fight again? And then once he has taken a deep breath and say, "Oh, I think I can handle this, and I can maybe do some juggling," fighting again, and the people over there accepting it, I can see that. The odds of any boxer of note really retiring until it's sort of conclusively beaten into them that they shouldn't do it anymore rarely happens. Floyd Mayweather was at the Boxing Writers' Dinner on June 24th at the Copacabana. He received the Fighter of the Year award, and he spoke about, "I'm not coming back. I have $1.2 billion in real estate holdings. I don't need to. But if the price is right, you will see me again." It's always the but. In boxing, there's always the but. Talkbox, episode 4. We are on a high right now. We are coming in off of a fight that some folks are calling Fight of the Year. I was there. I was present at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Keith Thurman availed himself quite nicely and kept hold of his WBA welterweight title against the bullish, stamina-laden battler from Ohio, Sean Porter. The end of the night, Porter tasted loss. Thurman. Judges liked his power punching better. That was the name of the game for me as I watched it. The one or two cleaner, harder shots in every round that I saw watching from ringside came from the Floridian, Thurman. So, all in all, we're on a high. We like that. We like to be high, especially Andy with an I. Likes to be high on life, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not implying anything other than that.
No, of course not.
No, of course not. So we're going to have what I like to call Promoter Palooza on this episode. Going to have the combustible, the ever candid and quotable Lou Dibella, former HBO executive, current promoter, was the promoter of record on Saturday night, June 25th at Barclays Center. So he put together and marketed the Thurman Porter event. We're going to hear all about that. Going to hear him talk about Deontay Wilder, Povetkin pullout, PEDs, state of boxing as a whole, what is the health and well-being of the sport. So much of his product is now being featured on Showtime. Are they number one? Talk about his receiving an award for honesty and integrity in boxing. What? Honesty and integrity in boxing? Does that compute? We'll talk to Lou Dibella about that. Brooklyn born, and also as part of Promoter Palooza, because if it was just one promoter, it wouldn't necessarily be a palooza, would it? Brielle, can you look that up? Definition of palooza? If there's only one, can it still be a palooza? Brielle's going to look that up. She's actually looking it up on her phone right now. Very helpful to have this fabulous intern here. We're also going to hear from Kathy Duva of Main Events, and she has a guy who might be pound for pound number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. We're going to know more probably in November when her guy, Sergey Kovalev, fights Andre Ward. You got to get past Isaac Chilemba first, and that fight is in Russia. We're going to hear from Kathy about booking a fight in Russia, how hard that is, and is she going to go, and does she have to do 1,000 toasts with vodka, and what's that all about when you go to doing business in Russia? Is Mr. Putin going to be there? We're going to ask her these questions. So this is episode 4 of Talkbox. There's a book that's coming out that I want to talk about by our friend who works at PBC, Tim Smith, that I think I can recommend mightily. It's on Lou Duva. So it's going to be chock full. You're not going to hate this. You're going to download, you're going to subscribe, you're going to go to iTunes, you're going to leave a positive review. And we do believe you're going to enjoy it. And we thank you, as always, Mike Woods, host of Talkbox. Oh, don't forget, we're going to be hitting the headlines and talk about what we saw. And then we're also going to be talking about what's upcoming, featured attractions. Andy with an I, let's launch right into headlines. Let's riff on that Thurman Porter fight. You were present. You were watching on CBS. Talk to me about your experience. What about Thurman Porter?
I had the privilege of actually being there, which was awesome, just because the crowd right away was into it, and you could tell that both sides were into it right away. Porter and Thurman came out firing from round one, and I looked over at my brother who came along with me, and I was like, "There's no way this is going 12 rounds." To my surprise, it went 12 rounds, and you're getting a lot of people saying, Porter won. People tweeting at us saying Porter on my card was 115 to 113. It wasn't a unanimous decision, things like that. But for me, and this is my take on it, is that if you're going to try to dethrone the champion, you have to beat him. You have to all out, not make it up for a decision. You have to have in the minds of the judges and the fans, Sean Porter won that fight. He did get to Thurman. He did get to the body. He was quick. He was making Thurman think. Thurman was landing bigger shots, in my opinion. And I think at the end of the day, when you were going into round 10, 11, it was kind of up in the air. It was, people saw it as, this is going to end as a draw. However, if you're dethroning the champion, you can't put it up for a decision. You have to go into those final rounds and clearly take it away. And I don't think that was something that Porter did. However, nothing against him. I think it still helps his overall image. I still think it's nothing but good fights ahead for him. But it was a great fight, something that we all want to see again. Obviously, the hashtag Thurman Porter 2 is already starting, and it's something that I want to see again.
Did you pick up the rights to that? Did you buy that domain name?
I looked into it. I think I can start making some T-shirts, make a little money, maybe for, the Talkbox podcast.
Now, you did purchase sex.com, yes?
I was the first person to purchase that when the internet was created. Mm-hmm. So
And you sold it for like $7, and
$7 and something. I'm gonna look back and just regret on for the rest of my life.
Sex.com, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to purchase it and then redirect it to my boxing website, NY Fights, but my bid of $11.71 fell a little bit short. Yeah, what are you gonna do? I spoke to one of the judges, who shall remain nameless, and I liked the cards, 115, 113, and I like the cards of the judges when they align with mine. They're very smart when they align with mine, right? And I was on the same page with that world-respected judge. To me, the one or two harder punches in every round came from Keith Thurman. And usually I reward volume because I don't want to not reward volume. I don't want to penalize someone just because they don't have a lot of power. For instance, when I'm scoring a Paul Malignaggi fight, he is not a power puncher, but I don't want that to, drag him down just because he wasn't born with that. So oftentimes I'll find myself scoring more in the favor of the volume guy. But in this case, what spoke to me more loudly was one or two times every round, one of those clanging Thurman hooks would whack Porter's head and not buzz him hard, but just enough to say, you know what, that was the guy that won the fight in that round. I want to see them do it again. Right afterwards, I was like, let's book this again. And one thing I find curious, I don't know why more immediate rematches aren't called for. I'll put it to Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Woodsy1069. And people will be like, well, no, it was too brutal, or I want to see this one first. And I swear to God, sometimes it's just people being contrarian, people just wanting to put their stamp on it and just say, no, I don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. That fight wasn't too brutal. It wasn't as if it's such a hellacious war that these guys need an easier test in their next fight. Book it for each guy's next fight. I spoke to the promoter, Lou Dibella, and we'll ask Lou when he comes on about that. And he says, absolutely, let's give him some time off. Let's give him 6 months and have him do it again. You know it's going to be a good, tight, even fight. So why book another one which you don't know? I guess maybe that's part of why people aren't immediately enthralled with the idea of a rematch, because they want that unexpected. They want that surprise factor. But I say, you know it's going to be a good fight. Why not book it? Right, Andy?
Of course, that's something that Sean Porter's going to want. But, I mean, you got to look at it from Keith Thurman, too. He's got guys out there like Danny Garcia, Kell Brook. Why would you want to go back into a rematch with a guy that you just beat that could potentially beat you in the next rounds or next fight, since it was so close the first time? Why not continue to be the successor of Floyd Mayweather and just keep beating the guys in your weight class that people are questioning could beat you? If you start doing that and you start building up these wins against, let's say he does fight Danny Garcia next and he beats him, I mean, then maybe we can see a Porter-Thurman rematch. For me, from the eyes of Thurman, I don't see why he would necessarily want to do it right away, just because of who is out there. However, from a fan standpoint, I mean, I want it again. I want it next weekend. Again, like that, I mean, they didn't get too beat up. They both had a cut over their eye, but other than that, that's something that those guys can bounce back from. Obviously, they already have. So, do I want to see it? Of course, but does Porter want it again? Of course, but from Thurman's standpoint, I don't know. I think there's bigger options out there for him.
Got to listen to the will of the fans. It's like politics. Got to listen to the will of the people. Oftentimes, I don't think we do enough of that. An example that you could bring up, and this is under the umbrella of headlines, is Canelo versus Golovkin. They're going to have us wait on that. And I was speaking to a very respected executive, a guy who runs a company, and I said, you're a boxing fan. I want you to put on both your boxing fan hat and your executive hat and tell me, what do you think of them not making the Canelo-Golovkin fight right away? He said, no, I understand it from both perspectives. As an executive, you want to let it marinate and build towards it. He said, I foresee Canelo having a fight or two against a good, solid test at 160 makes sense. From the fan perspective, fans have been screwed too often in being boxing fan. They're asked to pay out of their pocket a lot. You don't have to pay out of your pocket to the same degree if you follow the other big four sports. You do if you're an MMA fan. They want it now. I understand both sides. I try to understand both sides. I think that's part of being fair, balanced, part of being a journalist, part of being a thinking human being. You guys get onto Twitter and whatever way you feel about it, use the hashtag Talkbox and let them know. That does matter. You making yourself and your stance felt does matter. Those guys, they do read it. They do respond to it. Not always, not maybe to the degree that you want, but they do. So you guys speak up. And also you always speak with your wallets. If you don't choose to tune into a fight, that sends them a message. I never call for a boycott or anything. I think that's a little bit too direct and too much negative advocacy. I wouldn't call for that. But do I want the sport at a place where it can be on free TV and it can get the same marketing, backing, and advertising and all that, so the fans wouldn't have to reach into their pocket every month? Absolutely. I would like that. I don't have to be Bernie Sanders to advocate for that. Do I, Travis? Do I have to be Bernie Sanders?
If you want to be, yeah, you could. Yeah.
Are you saying that I look like I'm 74 years old? You're not, are you?
No, not even a little.
All right. Yeah. Noel Hickey joining us here. She just grimaced when I said that. Brielle, did we capture that on Snapchat? You realize that you are running the Snapchat account, yes?
Yes.
Have you Snapchatted? Anything?
Not yet. Okay.
So you're waiting. You're letting it marinate? Like?
Yeah, waiting for a good moment.
Okay.
When you have thousands of followers like we do, it's you gotta put out the right snaps. It's a lot of pressure.
Right. And Miss Hickey, why don't you get on the microphone there, talking about the right snaps. Noel Hickey, introduce you to more of the planet, Talkbox Nation. Do we have any tennis fans out there?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, speak in the microphone more there.
Yes.
Like
yes,
you
we
did
do.
when you were on the tour.
Oh,
And what was your ranking on the tour, and what was your best win when you played professional tennis?
oh, man, I don't think that I ever played against anybody that would be known.
Come on, I'm hardcore.
guess
You
anybody
can.
was
I know the name of the top 50 female, top 150, top 250 female players. I know. Come on, throw some names
You
out.
can
What's your
even
best
lie.
match? What's your best match?
You can lie. No one.
No one fact checks.
I beat Serena, recently. But
Recently.
Yeah.
At you were playing a game of Uno with her.
Wii tennis.
Yeah.
Crushed it, yeah.
Yeah. You beat her at a wings eating contest.
Yes.
Where did that take place? Come on, go full on with the lies here. Run with it.
It was right after I won Wimbledon. We went to this little place in London, and we went and had a wing eating contest.
Yeah. How many did you eat there?
Oh, man, the numbers get so high, it's hard to remember. Probably 100.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe 150.
Yeah. And you guys were using the hottest wing sauce?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
I heard you were snorting lines of it afterwards. Like it
Yes.
was just like, I'm the baddest ass. I will snort this fucking wing sauce.
Just to prove a point.
Yeah. We have a Snapchat of that, Brielle? Do you tell me you didn't get that? Well, you didn't get that. All right. Pride of Appalachian State, ladies and gentlemen, is right over there. So, Ms. Hickey, your last name is Hickey.
Yeah. You're putting quite an emphasis on it, too. So
I didn't think so. I think you're reading into the emphasis. Talk to us about, a little diversion here, talk to us about having that name. I went to high school, and my friend's name was Jason Gay. He is actually an author now. He has worked for Rolling Stone, a whole bunch of fine publications, and he has a new book out. And so he had the name Gay. And, there are names that push buttons, and
That they do.
Gay it can be one, and Hickey can be one of them. Did the name Hickey push buttons?
Why
Was
put
it
such a
hard?
Weird emphasis on the H.
I don't know. Hickey is Brielle, what is the definition of Hickey?
Oh, jeez.
I'm asking her for definitions all the time. It's like that's all interns can do. No, you can do much more than that. Run the Snapchat account. No, but have you had to ever been like shut the hell up? Stop making Hickey jokes.
Yeah.
Apart from right now.
Yeah. Well, middle school, high school was challenging at
Right.
moments.
Right. Did you curse your parents? Your dad?
Yeah.
Why
dare
was
he?
your...
How
Why
dare he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he know that high school?
Yeah. Did you almost maybe change it to hacky or hockey?
I wanted to
Or
change
hokey?
the emphasis at points. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seriously considered legally changing your name when you were in middle school?
Yes.
For real?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
To something.
And then at what point were you just like, acceptance, that's my name, man?
I wish that I could say that I became such a famous tennis player that
Right.
how else would anybody know me?
Right.
But
Right.
I don't know. Laziness.
You did beat Serena, so
I did beat Serena. Well, now I'm going to be famous, probably,
Yeah.
because we have so many followers.
We're going to be looking for that footage on, if anyone's looking for that footage on YouTube, they're going to be looking for a long time.
Oh, shit, yeah.
We buried it, right?
Yeah, oh, it
Yeah.
better be buried.
It was like that. It was like that cop. It was a campus cop, and it was like, what, I don't know, 5 years ago. Do you remember that whole story? The campus cop, and he was clamping down on a demonstration, and he was just walking around blasting people with pepper spray.
Oh,
Do you remember
yeah.
that? Was it
Oh,
UC
yeah.
Davis or something? So anyways,
was a
the
water gun.
officials at that school, or one official, we need to fact check this story a little bit better.
Lots of fact
One-
checks for this
yeah.
episode.
So they tried to scrub the whole story off Google, and I think they spent like $175,000 trying to scrub that story so it wouldn't exist. True story, that infuriated me so much because of that footage of that guy just blasting defenseless students with pepper spray. I remember someone posted the guy's phone number, and so I got his phone number, and I was calling him, and I was gonna be like, "You're a mutt," and he never picked up. And I don't remember his name. Maybe we'll come back to this later in the show, but I think it's still in my contact list, and maybe we'll call him later.
We'll get him
and be
on.
like, "What
Definitely
did you
that.
learn from that?"
We should definitely
Yeah, there's headlines for you. Another headline, boxing, bad headlines. Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko's sequel is canceled because of an injury. That's not the worst. It's not like, scandal or something. But then it came out in the paper that there is a PED situation. Fury has supposedly tested positive in the past. He denies it. Rinse and repeat. Same old story, same song, same dance. Kind of interesting. I was picking up on chatter on the internets, on Twitter. People were like, "Yo, I've seen Tyson Fury out and about partying.
Yeah.
This freaking fight ain't happening." And so, talk about the wisdom of crowds or whatever. I just picked up on it, and so I started asking around. I messaged the Klitschko people. I said, "Is this fight in jeopardy?" This was 5-6 days before the cancellation came out. And they said, "No, it's on. We have stuff scheduled and whatever." And then 5 days later, lo and behold, ankle, sprain, severe sprain, photo proof was furnished by the Fury people. Couldn't fight. So kind of interesting that, people monitoring on Twitter, which is why, when you guys are out and about, as the popularity of Talkbox continues to grow, you're going to want to mind your P's and Q's. And your Z's and your W's and everything, actually, and your H's,
Oh,
Miss Hickey.
yeah.
They said Fury sprained his ankle at a rave. And there
Oh,
were-
well, for real at a rave?
Yes.
No,
I
no,
read
you're
an
kidding?
article. I read an article saying that it was at a rave, and then there was a picture of him dancing in the streets. I don't know where. It's something I'm gonna have to find. We're gonna have to post it to the Talkbox Twitter account.
Please.
But
Was anyone at that rave, and can they respond? Hashtag for that is dumbass at a rave. What are you
Talkbox
doing?
rave. It's not an event yet that we're gonna host, but
We're
if it-
planning
if it
so
picks
many
up-
things, and that is not one of them. It's out of my age demo. But if you guys want to put that together,
If anybody
Brielle?
out there has that image,
party planning. Oh, we're on. Oh, yeah.
She found her mom.
Do people still do raves?
Yeah,
We
I
don't.
I think so. I think New York City is a
Apart from
popular
Tyson
place for
Fury.
raves.
Yeah. Underground.
Underground raves.
Those are the good ones. So
That's my
Tyson
scene.
Fury really hurt it at a rave. Dude, what it was a dancing injury?
That is what I've heard. I'm I'm not going to confirm it. It's not from me. If anybody out there saw Tyson Fury at the rave, has an image or video of him spraining his ankle, please send it to us.
All
We'll
right.
share it.
I'm gonna share a story. The statute of limitations is off on this one, but this affects me when I read and hear about stories such as this. So, you saw that his ankle was hurt, and he furnished photographic proof of it. Right? I went to college a couple years ago, and there's a confession time. And there was a time when I was not particularly prepared for an exam coming up. I wanted to get out of the exam, and I needed a good excuse. In my infinite, not so infinite wisdom, I said, Woods, you really gotta come up with something good here, pal. So what I did was, again, infinite wisdom, a lot of years ago, statute of limitations. I slugged myself in the eye, and I gave myself a black eye. And it's kind of harder to punch yourself than you might think. I don't want any of you to try it. I just kept doing it until I got it right, man. Yeah. And I just right hooks on myself, and I gave myself a black eye. And then I went into the professor, and I said, Professor, I think I got junk coming back from the library.
Yeah.
And my jaw's hurt, and you see my eye here. I think I can postpone this a little bit here. And it worked. And I'm not proud of it. And if my kids are at some point listening to this in the vast Talkbox archives, I want you to not do as Dad did. I want you to don't do as Dad did. It was a knucklehead move. But this brings me to, people say, well, there's proof. Well, I had a, black eye too, and that was proof. Has someone ever taken a sledgehammer and smashed themselves so they could, not saying at all that that's what Mr. Fury did, but just boxing is theater of the unexpected, and you never do know. It keeps us on our toes, and it gives us something to talk about here at Headlines at Talkbox. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael Woods for Talkbox, and here we have a show, episode 4, that we are calling Promoter Palooza. One of the A-grade guys, Harvard-educated, former HBO executive Lou Dibella, pride of Brooklyn, and a New York guy through and through. New York means that he speaks with candor, he speaks from his heart, his soul. I saw him on Friday night. He picked up an award for honesty and integrity. Yes, those things exist in boxing at the 91st annual BWAA dinner in Manhattan. Welcome to Talkbox. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Lou Dibella.
Good to be with you, Mike.
So, we are on a high. After Saturday night, it was a great freaking night for boxing. Saw you ringside at the Barclays Center after the fabulous Thurman Porter affair. And boxing sometimes swings and misses, sometimes gets it right. But fair to say that on Saturday night, you guys got it right?
I think so. I mean, it was a great show from beginning to end, even before CBS started and Showtime on CBS started. And then that first fight with Hurd and Molina was a great appetizer for what I thought was a terrific main course with Thurman and Porter, which was certainly a fight of the year candidate. Give and take fight in 10 to 12 rounds. These guys threw within 5 punches of each other. There was 30 seconds of the fight without action. And, on free TV with a huge audience, I think we delivered a great fight. So I think it was a great night for boxing.
And let's segue into a little bit, sort of a state of the nation of boxing right now. You've been in the sport now, I guess, is about your third decade in the sport. And where is it right now? I did see the TV ratings. They look good to me. I'm not a programmer guy. You know that stuff better than I. But what is the state of the nation of boxing as a whole right now?
Well, I mean, look, boxing as a whole, we need to help ourselves and elevate the entire sport. I would say that you're looking at it as an overall sort of encompassing kind of view. We need to return ourselves to the glory of the past. But the ratings on Saturday night were very encouraging, and this will be by far the most viewed fight of this year. And millions of people saw it, and I think that's great for boxing when you put your best foot forward, and you get a huge audience, particularly when they don't have to pay $70 a person to see it. When they got it on over-the-air network television, by Showtime presenting it on CBS in association with Premier Boxing Champion. I think that it says some good things about hope for the future if we can continue to deliver the fights that fans want to see and the fighters put out in the ring. And that's what happened the other night. We delivered what the fans wanted to see, and the fighters delivered.
And Dibella Promotions has events coming up in the very near future, at least 2 of them. Quickly lay those out. If you're seeing new eyeballs that were brought to the sport on Saturday, where can they see your product next?
Well, we have a Broadway boxing as part of a summer boxing series we're doing at Foxwood this Thursday night. So, and anybody who's listening who can drive to southeastern Connecticut or is in the Connecticut area or Providence, Rhode Island, or Massachusetts, we have a great Broadway boxing headlined by 122-pound contender Louis Rosa this Thursday night, June 30th at Foxwood Casino. That's part of a summer series. We'll be at Foxwood July 21st with an ESPN show where rising middleweight star Sergey Derevchenko is going to fight former world champion Sam Solomon in a title elimination match in the main event, and another up-and-coming undefeated middleweight contender, Yevgen Kitrov, is going to be fighting Paul Mendez from Northern California in what should be a real barn burner. And that's going to be a stacked card on July 21st. So the 30th of June, this Thursday night at Foxwood, the 21st of July at Foxwood with an ESPN middleweight doubleheader, which will also be stacked with local New England talent. And then we have a huge show, again, maybe one of the best book shows of the year, maybe, in my mind, a show just as good as what we just delivered this past Saturday night. Will be at the Barclays Center on July 30th. And before I actually get to that, in between on July 16th, for anybody who's in the South or in the Alabama area, but certainly for anyone who wants to watch the Heavyweight Championship on free television on Fox Network, Deontay Wilder is going to defend his heavyweight title against Chris Arreola, and that should be a fun fight. And the American heavyweight champion is going to defend in prime time on free television on the 16th. But like I said, in Brooklyn again at the Barclays Center on July 30th, we have a massive stacked card. That's headlined obviously by Leo Santa Cruz against Carl Frampton, but you're going to get a little bit of a head start, Woodsy, because in about 40 minutes, the press release is going to go out and announce all the Showtime live fights as well as the Showtime Extreme show. But we can talk about that right now and give your listeners a little bit of a preview.
Please, break some news for us, pal. Are we going to get an all-Brooklyn showdown? Is it? I know there was talk of Malignaggi versus Bracero. Is that happening?
Well, the show is going to open up with a Showtime Extreme part. And the first fight will feature Ivan Redkach. We're finalizing his opponent right now, but it'll be a top-quality opponent. I think one of the real possibilities for that fight is that he's going to fight Kevin Farmer.
Whoa, that's a good one. The hardcore are going to like that one, pal. They're going to like that one a lot. Okay.
Yeah, that hasn't been locked in yet, but that's a possibility. The main event on Showtime Extreme is an all-Brooklyn matchup. Paulie Malignaggi is going to fight Gabriel Bracero. For people that don't know, Gabriel is coming off a huge win against Danny O'Connor, where he knocked out O'Connor in a knockout of the year candidate. But Gabriel lives in Sunset Park, which is walking distance from the Barclays Center.
Right.
So that's the kind of fight that's really a battle of Brooklyn at welterweight, and a fight that I think is going to attract a lot of local viewers and a lot of people that are going to come to the Barclays Center just to see that fight. And then following the Showtime Extreme show, it's going to go to a Showtime triple header. And fans always like triple headers. The opening fight of the triple header is going to be in the 154-pound division, which is a division that Showtime is very invested in.
Right.
They just did that Hurd Molina fight Saturday night. Was in the junior middleweight division. They did a junior middleweight triple header recently. They did a fight with Demetrius Andrade recently, and there was a junior middleweight bout. And there's going to be a junior middleweight showdown between Tony Harrison and Sergey Rabchenko. And, people are familiar with Harrison. I think he's got 1 defeat, a very, very heavy puncher.
Right.
Rabchenko, the top international talent. I think he's got a record of 24-1, 20 KOs. That's a real good battle at 154 pounds. That'll be followed by the co-feature bout, which is the return of former multi-time world champion and up-and-coming star Mikey Garcia, who's been off for 2.5 years, against former world champion who's been off for about 2 years, Elio Rojas. So a battle between two very high-quality fighters who have not been so active recently. But that's a terrific co-feature. And then the main event, can't miss. The main event is, Thurman Porter in the featherweight division with Leo Santa Cruz against Carl Frampton, from the Irish guy fighting out of the UK. Two of the best featherweights in the world. Both of them are warriors, come forward and make great fights. So I think that this show on July 30th at the Barclays Center is as good as anything I've been able to promote there since I began promoting at the Barclays Center, and certainly a fight card that's comparable and stands well in comparison to the fight card that just did so well this past Saturday night.
Amen. Lou, you and I have known each other for a good number of years, and I do believe that you do know that my agenda really is for the sport as a whole to succeed. So I'm happy. I'm sensing optimism. 12,718 in attendance on Saturday. Good ratings on CBS. And maybe more important than anything, I'm hearing a shift in tone from some of the fighters. Thurman might be at the top of the pack. These guys saying, you know what? It's not about soft touches. It's not about padding my record. It's not about getting easy money. It's about me being a warrior and the best fighting the best. And I'm hearing and sensing and feeling more of that. Do you feel and sense the same?
There's no question about it. I also think that the fact that the fight was so competitive, you heard the crowd react at the end. There were a lot of people who were happy for Keith. There were a lot of people who thought that Sean had pulled it out. I thought the decision was fair, but the real key point was the best fought the best.
Right.
They fought their best fight. They gave their best performances, and neither guy got diminished at all. Both of those guys came out winners in the eyes of the fans. And what we need to do to get big ratings, to generate big crowds, to make a lot of money at the gate, and to elevate the sport is for the best to fight the best all the time, or as often as possible.
Right.
And on July 30th, which is the next big fight at the Barclays Center, the card is just as strong. And another little highlight would be even before we get on TV, that undercard's going to be awesome. Amanda Serrano is going to become the first woman to defend the real world championship at the Barclays Center when she defends her WBO 126-pound title that night. So
Excellent.
The entire show on July 30th, from beginning to end, is going to be high quality. And I think that the fighters, it's not just promoters that are responsible for putting together good fights, because you need willing boxers, you need willing managers, you need television networks insisting on the best quality. You need everybody working together to make the best fights we can make. We just did that this past Saturday night. It was a resounding success. I expect a successful little show at Fox Woods on July 21st on ESPN, when two young middleweights step up in quality and try to make a move. But then on July 30th, coming back to the Barclays Center, we're coming back with really a tremendous show. And then not to mention being able to see the heavyweight championship of the world contested in Alabama on Fox TV on July 16th. The opening, the co-feature bout there is a young incoming welterweight And, the welterweight division is so hot with Thurman and Porter and Garcia and Spence and everybody else. But Sandy Vargas is going to be fighting Brooklyn's own Louis Collazo in the opening, the co-feature bout to Deontay Wilder on July 16th. So there's a lot of really good stuff coming with you, and I find that very encouraging.
Good. Hey, you know what? That boxing writers' dinner, there were several good speeches. Floyd Mayweather's filibuster was interesting. You received Honesty Integrity Award, and you finished up with candidness, candid broadside, I thought, that really resonated with me. You had a message for some of the promoters, including yourself. I like that. Can you repeat a little bit for the people the sort of capper and climax of your speech at the 91st Boxing Writers Awards of America?
Well, look, I think what I said was going in, and by the way, I couldn't have scripted it better because on Friday night I was talking about Saturday night with a hope that it was going to be the best we could deliver, and it turned out to be exactly that. And that those fighters could deliver, that the promoters and managers and television and everyone involved in the event could deliver. It was a sensational boxing show. But what I said was we all, as an industry, bear a responsibility, the fighters, to the managers, to the promoters, to myself, to do better, to offer better product and to give the fan more often what they want and not waiting 7 years like they waited for what turned out to be disappointing in Mayweather Pacquiao, or continuing to wait for Alvarez and Golovkin. We need to try to give fans what they want to see when they want to see it, because that's our best chance for success as an industry. That's our best chance to return to being, the sport of kings. I also said there should be zero tolerance policy for performance-enhancing drugs, because these drugs are being used to jack people up so they can hurt other people. They're not hitting a baseball. They're not hitting a golf ball. They're hitting other people in the head. And it's just dangerous for people to be using synthetic and even natural substances that are banned because they give people an unfair advantage. An unfair advantage, when the aim of the game is to hurt another person, is a dangerous and life-threatening advantage. And there's got to be a zero-tolerance policy for performance-enhancing drugs. We're still a little bit barbaric in our health and safety rules in most states. There aren't uniform health and safety standards to protect fighters across the country. A fighter should be able to fight when he's nearly blind in a state that has laws that are not sufficient, when that fighter can't fight in New York or can't fight in California or can't fight in Nevada or another state that has good medicals. A fighter who's brain injured and barred in one state should be able to form shop to find another state to damage his health. And then lastly, there's the Muhammad Ali Act, and it affects promoters. The Muhammad Ali Act should be extended to mixed martial arts and any combat sport. But the Muhammad Ali Act also needs to be enforced. And it also, there should be communication between the promoter and the fighter that's open and honest. So if the fighter asks what the network, particularly, this doesn't really apply to a fighter that's fighting on a tiny show, no TV, or a fighter that's a 4, 6, or an 8-round fighter.
Right.
It applies more to the fighters that are fighting major fights on network television. If that fighter asks what the network's paying for his services, that fighter should get an answer when he's still negotiating. And he should get an answer before the fight, not after he's already signed the contract that the fight has already taken place. There's got to be open and honest and transparent communication. So that's what I left the boxing writers dinner with. Woodsy, that's what I'll leave you with. Unless you got any more questions for me.
I got questions from Talkbox Nation. We do request crowd questions brought to you by Everlast. You know pretty well that Everlast's been in boxing since 1910. They've had Jack Dempsey, Sugar Ray Robinson, Deontay Wilder, Canelo Alvarez all use Everlast. Brand of choice for, all these superstars from past and present. And by the way, this applies to you too, Combustible Lou. Visit Everlast.com and use the code TALKBOX for a 25% discount. I could probably get you a sweatshirt or something for free anyway. But want to get Andy with an eye here in the Everlast studios, firing some questions to you. The ever candid and combustible and loquacious Lou Dibella Questions. Andy for Lou.
All right, Lou, we have we've had a lot of questions come in on our Twitter account, everybody using the hashtag Talkbox. The first one is from, I don't think this is his name, it's just WMT. He goes, given the alma mater you share with Bob Arum and Al Heyman, can you explain the connection between Harvard and boxing?
Well, first of all, there's a bit of a connection between lawyering and boxing. Aaron and I are both Harvard-educated lawyers. Al's went to Harvard undergraduate and has an MBA from Harvard. Boxing is a complicated business. It's a pretty big advantage to have that kind of a background. It's not simple economics. It's not simple business. And certainly if you're a lawyer, there's a great advantage because it's an incredibly litigious, confrontational, in-your-face kind of business. I don't think it's an accident that three of the most powerful guys right now in the business came out of Harvard. I don't think that's an accident.
Great. The next question is from Richard. Richard wants to know, why is it so much harder now to get the top fighters to fight each other?
Well, to some extent, the ratings organization, these mandatories, the fact there are multiple champions, that stands in the way often because the fighter wants to keep his belt and he's forced to fight somebody that the public's not so interested in seeing. Then there's also economics. The television network is working with a particular fighter, and that's the only network that wants to pay for that fighter's services, but that network doesn't have the money to pay for a premier matchup. And some matchups are done, and they're not the most desirable for the fighter because that's what the money allows. And the other thing too is I don't think that there's an never-ending tolerance on the part of fans for pay-per-view. There's so many choices, sports, so many choices and entertainment on television. Who wants to have to go in their pocket and spend between $50 and $100 on a regular basis to see a fight?
Yep. And then the final question comes in from Neil. Obviously, with Richard Schaefer coming back into the business, he wants to know, with the development of Ringstar Sports, do you see that as a threat or opportunity for Dibella Entertainment?
I've been around too long to feel threatened by any person or any other company. So I don't feel threatened by that. And I've always been able to talk to Richard. He's a smart guy. And I think there's business we could do together. I know he's getting licensed in New York, and there are a lot of people licensed in New York, and competition's not a terrible thing. And like I said, I think that I can work with Richard Schaefer, and I wish him the best. Like I wish everybody the best. If the more people that are successful in boxing, the more successful boxing is, which is one of the reasons I don't understand why there are so many vile haters out there spending a lot of their time trolling social media, rooting for other people's demise. But the better the sport does in general, the more people that succeed, the more we succeed as an industry.
And last topic, speaking of all working together for the greater good, rumors are rife that Manny Pacquiao will be fighting again October 15th on hold at Mandalay Bay. And one of the names mentioned in the mix is Adrian Broner, a PBC fighter who you have promoted some of his material. I do wonder, do you have any inside track on knowing if we could see Pacquiao versus Broner?
I have no inside track or inside knowledge whatsoever. But I can tell you that I've talked to Bob Arum more recently in the last few weeks than I've talked to him in months and months about kicking around some fights. It's funny, I've talked to Frank Warren more in the last few weeks about making some fights together, significant fights, than I've talked to him in months and months. I know that obviously there is no legal issues outstanding any longer between Bob Arum and Al Heyman, and I'm sure that they've had some conversations. So, nothing would surprise me. I think that the climate is getting better for people to work together to make money and elevate the industry and bring fans to fights they want to see. And Woodsy, have a car full of people that are probably getting tired of listening to me. I hope your listeners aren't tired of listening to me. If you got one more question, I'll take it. Otherwise, have a good day to everybody, and I hope they support support the boxing that's coming up that I think is really high quality.
No more questions, just a request that everyone in the car please subscribe to Talkbox and leave a nice review on iTunes. Lou Dibella, we thank you so much for your valuable time. We will absolutely adore having you back again soon.
Thank you, Woodsy.
Great stuff, as expected, from the NYC-based promoter Lou Dibella. Not done with Promoter Palooza yet. Another one on the bill. This one, often just as candid and tough, smart, the whole nine, is Kathy Duva, Jersey girl. New Jersey-based promoter. She heads up main events. Going to be hearing from her. Her main man is Sergey Kovalev. Got some fights coming up. So Promoter Palooza continues now on Talkbox. Michael Wood, your host. Talkbox. Promoter Palooza. Definition of Palooza is like a shit ton of people having fun. And we've already spoken to Lou Dibella, but one promoter is not a Palooza, so needed another one. And among my favorites, for her directness, for her good humor, for her stick-with-itedness, a whole bunch of reasons, is New Jersey's finest main events boss, Kathy Duva, is joining us. Thank you so much for taking your time and chatting with Talkbox, Kathy Duva.
Hey, how are you? So nice to hear all those good words.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you're no stranger to it. As far as boxing promoters go, not many people have bad words to say about you. That's not to say you can't be tough, though. You know, you're in there haggling, and Lord knows you have to. The people who don't know how to haggle and stand tough, man, they're not going to stay in this business. And you've had now 4 decades or so within the sport at a very high level. So, and I just think that's kind of special because you're a woman, and this is so often a man's sport. So, very pleased to have you on the line. We appreciate it, and we're looking forward to. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves into November. We're looking ahead to Sergey Kovalev fighting Andre Ward in what could be the showdown for the pound-for-pound best in the sport. But before that, your man, Mr. Kovalev, the Crusher, has to take care of some business in Russia. Tell us about that, please.
Well, he's getting ready to head on over to actually, I think you know what, today, I think he's traveling right now. He's going to Ekaterinburg, where it is about an hour and a half from Chelyabinsk, where he grew up, and he is going to be fighting there for the first time in a very long time, and he's very excited about being able to perform in front of his fans. This is the first time he'll be fighting in Russia since he became famous and a world champion and whatnot, and he's going to be fighting Isaac Chilemba, who is coming to win and making it very clear that he plans to upset Sergey's future plans. And we are expecting a very competitive, very interesting fight.
And if you're not traveling to Russia, I am not traveling to Russia. I don't know that I'm on like any kind of a no-fly list or something like that. I don't remember ever saying anything bad about Mr. Putin, but will not be traveling to Russia. You can watch it on HBO, 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time, tape delayed, exclusively on HBO. And I expect Mr. Kovalev to be the favorite. Have seen Mr. Chilemba in action. He will be motivated to win. Should be some decent rounds there. But we are expecting that Mr. Kovalev get past Mr. Chilemba to fight Andre Ward, who some people regard as the top pound-for-pound boxer on the planet today, if you're believing that Floyd Mayweather is retired. When and where is that one supposed to take place?
That one is supposed to take place in Las Vegas on November 19th, if all goes according to plan, and both Sergey and Andre win their intervening fights.
All right, and boxing is an if sport. So many things can go off the rails in so many different ways. It is the theater of the unexpected. Ward has a fight scheduled, a stay busy fight, a rush-etter fight, whatever you want to call it. I've heard rumors that Alex Brand, the opponent, is out, and Sean Monahan might be in. That was broken on Sirius the other day. So we will keep track of that. I want you to state your case now. We've spoken about this before. I do believe that you say that Mr. Kovalev deserves to be regarded as the pound-for-pound best in the sport. Is that as of right now, or does he need to beat Ward to be deemed pound-for-pound best?
No, I think the winner is going to become the best pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. And, no, I would never say that now. That is, first he's got to get past Isaac Chilemba, and then he has to fight the career-defining fight that I believe this will be.
Right.
If, again, all goes according to plan, each guy would be 30-0 going into the fight. Each guy, has a claim to that well within the top 5 on the pound-for-pound list. And if you look at history, hasn't happened often, but when it has, you have seen some amazing fights between some amazing people, and this is, I think, one of those cases, because once two guys that high up on that list fight each other, then it's pretty hard to deny that they belong at number 1, because nobody else on the list can even match that accomplishment.
Right.
When you're on that list and you've never fought anyone who's nearly as good as you, it's kind of hard to keep it.
Right.
And I think that's where that's where the vitality would have to stay on that list. I think that's where it should be. It is it's not something that you just. I don't like the idea that it's something you get to the top of it and then you're there forever.
Right.
Until you retire. I think that when people are fighting those kinds of competitive fights and choosing to do that rather than just keep taking the easy wins, then they should be rewarded.
Right.
And I think they will be.
It's among the fights that I don't think there's more than one or two, if even that I'm looking forward to more than that one. That's really circled like 9 times with Sharpie on my calendar, very much. Because I hear people saying, I know Leonard Ellerby, I remember it stands out saying, it's going to be easy work for Ward, easy work. And then you have other people saying, no, Kovalev is going to win. So some people are going to be really wrong on that night.
Which is what's fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's
It's
fun.
not going to be easy work for anybody. I think that's kind of an ignorant statement, but I think that when you have two people again who are in that top 5, I've got a list. Okay, that Ring Magazine, it's been keeping the pound for pound rating since 1990, and there are only 3, 6, 9, 10 fights on that list that they have kept a record of, where number 1 fought somebody in the top 5.
Wow.
And the people on that list are Julio Cesar Chavez, Meldrick Taylor, Pernell Whitaker, Oscar De La Hoya, Felix Trinidad, Shane Mosley, Manny Pacquiao, Juan Manuel Marquez, Bernard Hopkins, Calzaghe, Mayweather, and that's it.
Wow.
I said, Manny, that's it. Those are the guys on that list. There's nobody else on that list.
Right.
That's an amazing list.
Right.
And every one of the fights on it, from Chavez-Taylor to Whitaker-Chavez to De La Hoya, Whitaker, Trinidad, De La Hoya, Mosley, De La Hoya, Manny, Marquez.
Right.
Calzaghe, Hopkins, Mayweather, Mosley, Pacquiao, Marquez, and Mayweather, Pacquiao. With the exception of the last one, every one of those fights was
right.
That one was the last one on that list. Probably was historic, but not entertaining. The rest of that group, pretty amazing fights.
Yes.
Memorable fights, incredible fights. So I think this one is going to be on that list. I don't think anybody on that list had easy work with anybody, except, again, the last one, which turned out to be so disappointing because they waited so long to do it.
Right.
Here, they're in their prime.
Right.
They are, both of them, without a loss on their record. That was rarely the case on any of those fights I just mentioned.
Right.
Chavez-Taylor and Whitaker-Chavez probably being the only two I could think of. And Chavez had a loss in his record that they just took away a long time ago.
Right.
It is an amazing, amazing thing to have this fight happen, and I just hope that everybody in our sport who follows it recognizes that, because they will be in for a treat, because you will see 2 exceptional fighters, 2 exceptional chess players, and Ward gets criticism for his style, but the fact is Sergey has got a style that just won't let him. He's going to force him to work. He has to, and that's going to bring out the best in Ward, and Ward's going to bring out the best in Sergey, because I see the two of them. I was sitting next to each one of them when they watched the other one fight in recent months, And I could see the wheels spinning in both of their heads, and both of them got up and walked away convinced they were going to win.
Right.
So, wow, it doesn't get better than this, and we've almost forgotten what this is like. So we want to bring this back. I think it's a really good idea.
Yes, time to dust off the cobwebs and remember what it's like. As you were talking, you had me wanting to buy a ticket right now, and then it got me thinking, I would buy anything
You'll get in
from
for
this
free.
person. Oh, bless you. I would buy almost anything from this woman, including a used car, and I wonder maybe if Hillary Clinton should get you working for her. And then that got me drifting away. You're a Jersey person, and you have your Governor Christie, who is speaking on behalf of Donald Trump. And my question
It's
is:
embarrassing enough.
Are you going to start working for Hillary? And you go against Chris Christie?
You know, I have a story. My late husband,
Yes.
was not a feminist. He was a boxing guy, Italian guy, really a tough case. And
Right.
he had 2 daughters, and that started to change him. And one day he came home and he said, I took a train in Washington today with Cedric Kushner, who we know was not a feminist by any stretch.
Not
of
in the
the
traditional
imagination.
sense, no.
Oh, God love him.
Right.
And he said, we sat on the Acela in the, I guess they took the expensive trip. They rode in the good car,
Right.
in the what do you call it, the club car. And he said, and Hillary Clinton was with us.
Wow.
And he goes, he had never had a terribly positive opinion of her. And he said, let me tell you something. I would vote for that woman to do anything, and so would Cedric. She should be president of the United States.
Wow.
And this was when my daughters were little, and he came back and he gave us her autograph. She had signed her autograph on his
Right.
business card, and I still have it. It's to Nicole and Lisa. And if Dan Duva and Cedric Kushner were convinced that Hillary Clinton should be president back in the 1980s, then I think that, or early 90s, I
Right.
guess it was. I'm working for her in my own my own way among my friends and whatnot.
Peer to
I
peer.
also told the story recently about how my daughter was born. My second daughter was born on the day Geraldine Ferraro debated in the presidential debates with George Bush, and I held Lisa in my arms that night and said, to her, someday you can run for president, and she won't, but she will get to vote for Hillary.
Right.
So that's really pretty cool. Just 31 years later, it took a long time, but here we are.
Progress can be glacial, but it does occur. And a rumor mill actually is saying that you're wanting on the undercard of July 11th to make Butterbean against Chris Christie. Is that true?
I don't want to give him any publicity at
No.
all. I know him, but I don't.
I'd love to see the bean knock his head off. He needs a little bit of humility.
I don't support him. He just
No.
No.
Anyways, we try to steer clear of politics here because we, like to appeal to the masses, and people come
I
here
know,
not
and I
for
usually
politics
do
chat.
steer
So no, it was
clear.
my fault. It was my 1,000% my fault. I'm gonna.
No, it's okay. You
yeah.
got me started. But you know something?
Yes.
I do think this, whether you love her
Yes.
or hate her, it is an amazing accomplishment. I was born 33 years after women got the right to vote.
Right.
33 years is not a long time.
No, it's not.
And think about that in my lifetime, how much has happened and how much has changed. And then in my daughter's lifetime, to go from, the first time a woman runs for national office to
Right.
to the third time.
Right.
Maybe this is the first time a woman wins, and I think that is great. No matter what your politics or who your favor, I think that's an amazing thing.
It is an accomplishment, as she herself has said. The novelty, however, will wear off, and after about a month, it's going to be like, I don't care if you're a woman. What have you done for me lately?
Oh, we shouldn't vote for her because she's a woman.
Right.
But I think that it's high time,
Right.
and hopefully we all look forward to the day, as I do as a boxing promoter, that nobody thinks being a woman is a big deal anymore.
That's right. And to that end, always sort of fascinating to me, you are one of the more, at times, pugnacious within this sphere. And I do wonder, she laughs, and I do wonder if in the new supposed spirit of people working together, Mr. Arum, Mr. Heyman making a settlement, is Mrs. Duva and Mr. Heyman in that mix of peace and love and kumbaya, and we're going to see Stevenson and Kovalev, or have no phone calls occurred and it's still sort of status quo, and you don't see any difference in how it was, say, 6 months or a year ago?
Well, look, I've made deals with them
Okay.
every time it has made sense. I have tried to make the Stevenson fight with him multiple times.
Right.
I have made a fight, for example, for Leader Alvarez to go and fight in Isaac Chilemba in Canada last year. We were close to making a fight between Wilder and Tsar Glaskov when another opportunity arose, and we decided to go for that one. And in that context, he fought Charles Martin, who was on their roster. And this morning, frankly, I was contacted by one of the PBC promoters about making a fight, and we're talking about it.
What fight?
Minor fight. I'm not going to talk about it because there's no point talking about fights that aren't made. I don't know if it's going to happen. But
Right.
the point is, that there's talk. When the people on the Heyman side want to have a talk and
Right.
want to make a deal, we've made deals every time.
Right.
It's when they don't want to make a deal and they don't want to talk that things don't happen. So
Right.
there's, this thing about kumbaya. We are in the only business where I can't think of another one where you have to compete with people. You have to sit down and make a deal together, and then you have to start competing with each other.
Right.
And then when it's over, you count the money together and,
Right.
and split it up. Most people don't have to sit at a table with their competitors and get along.
Right.
We do it all the time. There's
Yes.
never been a point where we didn't do it, and no matter what has happened with Al Heyman and his fighters, there's been a lot of contention with Stevenson. That's where most of it's been.
Right.
And I've had more than one occasion where when I came to agreement with Stevenson's promoter, and then when it went to the fighter and the manager, it got turned down. So it's clear where that's coming from.
Right.
And that's their choice.
Right. I love that big picture, wider analysis, the way you put it about, these people are supposed to be opponents and then all get along and work together. And so it makes sense that sometimes it's quite hard. We do. Thank you very much for your time. We're definitely going to have you back as we look forward to that big Thanksgiving showdown. This is Kathy Duva on the line. She is a promotional stalwart. She is in the shark-infested waters with all the boys, and she bites just as hard as any of them. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Kathy Duva.
Welcome. And remind everybody they can watch the fight on Monday, the 11th of July, a rare Monday night fight coming from Russia. So they've got to tune in on Monday night and watch the replay later in the evening.
Done deal. Thank you, Kathy Duva. Thanks for coming on Talkbox.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Episode 4 of Talkbox, nearing completion time. Our younger demographic is no doubt going to want to hit Snapchat, have a new account. What's it called again? Yell it out, please.
Talkbox Snap.
That's it. That was the worst yell. One person.
We lost.
Anyway, Talkbox Snap is where you're going to go for more content. Guys, we're just getting started here. This is the 4th episode, and this is coming together and just growing in strength and stature. PED-free, I might tell you. And so you're going to be continuing to furnish us questions using the hashtag Talkbox. Do hope that you have enjoyed everything up to this point. You heard Lou Dibella. You heard Kathy Duva talking about working together with anyone and everyone, and looking ahead to Thanksgiving showdown, pound for pound best. Going to be Ward and Kovalev, and we're going to be talking to her in the future and Lou Dibella in the future, never in the future, because we're just getting started. PED-free, baby. Next, going to be taping July 12th on the coming attractions. Things we're going to be looking forward to seeing. At the very top of my list is Deontay Wilder taking on Chris Arreola, defense of the WBC heavyweight title. That is July 16th, 2016, PBC on Fox. Wilder always wants to knock your damn block off, and Arreola, this is his last chance. Really, truly, probably. He is a name, but if he loses here and he gets stopped, there are going to be calls for him to probably hang it up. So he got to be pumped up to do his very best here and spring the upset. Heavyweight title on the line, and that's always something to look forward to. Always appreciate your time with us. Do ask you to subscribe. Do thank you for your time. And this is Michael Woods, the host of Talkbox, for the crew of the fabulous and fine and fierce and beautiful people here at the Everlast Studios. Thanks for helping put this together, and we will talk to you again soon. Talkbox signing off.